Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Daytona. It's Mark Murphy, it's Andrew Wood, and we are here for the Sim Gaming Expo Challenge Series Round 2, Split number 3. First race, Andrew, it was very calm, it was very cool, it was very collected. Everybody, quote, understood the assignment. The second race, we had a battle royale from about 7th to 11th. What are you thinking for race number 3 here?
Well, let's see what the qualifying times fit out for us here, Mark, because it could be very, very tight around that P10 mark again, and we could see a little bit more fireworks happening in this race. So I'm hoping that's the case. We'll have to see how the qualifying goes.
We most certainly will. One of the things that we were talking about here before this race was that we are more than familiar, Andrew, with some of the names that are in this session.
And who better than the third session to get us interested in some of these drivers and follow along with the path of some of these drivers? We have Philip Kraus here, an IndyCar favorite, someone who's raced with us in many, many races. We have Chris Stouffer, who has been with us in many races as well, and I've called many of his races as well. We have Bradley Sexton, a Lionheart racer who has raced the Indy cars for many, many years and has had great success, and Jim Herrick as well. These are all drivers we know, and we're hoping for the best for these guys.
We most certainly are. Taking a look at that scoring pylon, it has already started to light up with those names. Mate Varga is the quickest provisionally, but we're gonna have to do it. Let's get on board with the man that we've seen win so much here on the P1 Broadcasting Network. That's your teammate, Phil Kraus.
Philip Kraus drives any car, and he drives every car fast. So I'm excited to see how Philip Kraus does here. He's a Wisconsin native, so he's very close to the Schaumburg, Illinois scene as well. So I think he is very much raring to have a really good finish here.
You know, I would not count Phil Kraus out if they were racing Matchbox cars, Andrew. Here he goes, going to be starting lap number 1. It's unfamiliar colors. Usually we're used to seeing Phil in the purple and black. Here today it's green and gray, and it's chrome. He's got that Menards highlighter green going on. Number 19 for Phil Kraus as he works it through the chicane into the Rodriguez International Horseshoe.
Looks like a very, very tidy first part of the lap here. Let's see if Philip can keep it going. Kraus is very, very handy in any car he drives, so I imagine he has practiced this very, very intensely, and let's see how he goes here.
There he is. Right now, Floyd Kerr has just gone to the top of the board. Phil Kraus working his way around on his first lap through that treacherous turn 6, and you can see the hands for Phil working back and forth as hard as possible, trying to get those Michelins to find some purchase at the exit of turn number 6 here at Daytona. We've seen one car in each of the first 2 races loop it at turn 6 on the exit on lap 1.
And I think that's definitely a byproduct of not getting the car straight and making those rear tires spin up a little bit more than they want to. But very, very nice bus stop for Philip Kraus. He's coming to complete his hot lap here. So let's see where he places himself in the field.
That is true. He's got 1 lap down. This will be lap 2. Remember, Andrew, you get 3. Here comes Phil to complete the first hot one. .143.840. It's going to put him up into 4th place. We'll jump back on board and see if he can do any better for lap number 2.
It looks like he had a very tidy lap there. Probably not very risky in terms of taking big risks in the braking zones. As we were talking to the Hungarian drivers there in that interview session there, those guys feel like they had a little bit more under braking. That can get you a couple tenths here, a couple tenths there. And I think Phil is really going to go for it here. And I do know that these cars do tend to light up a little more on the second hot lap, as long as you could hold it, especially through the bus stop area. So I think Phil's going to have a monster lap coming up here if he could really string it together.
Yes, they do. Speaking of the Hungarian teammates, David Toth sent me a message and said that he wanted to make sure that we thanked his whole team and his friends who support him. He didn't quite understand what we were getting at, but thankfully he said they know it. But he messaged me. I wanted all of the people to know that David Toth messaged me privately to make sure that we thanked his friends and his team for their support. And so thank you so much, David. It was a pleasure talking to you, and we look forward to seeing you in Chicago. Phil Kraus working on a 6th place effort. You can see the hands, Andrew, just slashing back and forth as he goes through the Le Mans chicane. Look at how hard he's driving.
Yeah, definitely going for every little bit that he can. He's coming up to the line right now. Let's see if he can improve his spot from the 3rd row right now and maybe jump up to the 1st row. Let's see.
The time for Phil Kraus.
He improved, but still stays on the 3rd row.
It stays on the 3rd row. That's exactly right. So he is now on the inside of the 3rd row, which can that could be of benefit to you, Andrew. And he's going to have time, I think, to get one more in here.
Yes, I believe there's one more lap that he could squeeze right in here right before time runs out. It's going to be very, very tight, though. But I do want to point out Mate Varga is P1 right now. He is another Hungarian driver on that Sezi esports team. So we have a driver that managed to find himself in the 3rd split there, and his compatriots had some success in heat number 2. And let's see if he can run heat number 3 as well and find himself alongside his compatriots here at the finish of this.
There we go. Watching Phil Kraus as he works back. He's got what, 15 seconds plus 6 to get back to the line. So it's going to be really close for Phil to see if he can get back toward the start finish line.
No, I don't think he's not going to make it. I think time runs out in 3, 2, 1, and still got a whole straightaway here. So poorly timed, unfortunately, for Phil there. But talking about other drivers we were watching, Chris Stouffer finds himself starting 11th place, so he's going to be right in that battle for the top 10. Bradley Sexton, P7, another driver that we're familiar with from the IndyCar community. And Jim Herrick, unfortunately, had a poor qualifying down in P23, so he has a lot of work to do, but who knows what could happen, especially as we get a hopefully more intensified heat number 3 here.
Speaking of that grid, Mate Varga is going to be on the pole. What just a scintillating lap from Mate Varga. 1 minute 43.030. He's going to be flanked by Floyd Kerr, Avery Hart, and Christian Wiggins. They're going to make up row 2. The aforementioned Phil Kraus. He's going to start 5th next to Edgaras Staupas. Hopefully we said that right. Staupas will go from P6 in car number 7. Bradley Sexton, that's a name that we're all familiar with on the open wheel side. The number 21 is going to go 7th. Robert Ridgway from 8th. Chris Davis 9th. Joey Gallego is going to be 10th. If ever there was a guy that was made for a transfer spot battle, it's the car that's starting in P11. That's the number 9 of Chris Stover. He hasn't loaded in yet, but I'm told that car is orange and gray. There is Stover. Keep an eye out on the number 9. Daniel Mills is 12th. John Miller and Anthony Jenkins make up row 7. Nicholas Peterson and Michael Piecco are going to go from row 8. Corey Nesbitt and Anders Bunda will start 17th and 18th. And how about Trevor Huff and Josh Adam in row number 10? David Dorr, Nick De La Rosa will start 21st and 22nd. Jim Herrick and Eric Nixon 23rd and 24th. And shotgun on the field, that's going to be Junior Robinson.
So I actually have a little insider info here, Mark. I was just chatting with Phil Kraus after his qualifying run. He gave me a quick little shout out. He knows that we're commentating and watching him here, and what's interesting is that these cars seem to go faster with every consecutive lap up to lap 4. So I was talking earlier in one of the about how lap 2, lap 3 seems to be the pinnacle of where the tires hit the best part of their life of grip and everything like that. But it seems that if you had just run all 4 laps out, the 4th lap would be your best lap, and that's unfortunate for Phil, as he might have been on quite a heater there, but ran out of time. So Phil's a little already disappointed with how his race went, but again, know the mission. The mission is to finish top 10.
Understand the assignment, right?
Yes, thank you for the much more eloquently put words there.
Understand the assignment, and to be fair, I was talking about Phil Krause's hands going crazy as we start this 3rd race here. I was talking about Phil Krause's hands going wild and slashing back and forth in the car. If you watch IndyCars on the P1 broadcasting channel, you are used to seeing Phil Krause slash his hands back and forth like that. He does that in a full ground effects open wheel car. Everybody safely through turn 1. Everybody makes it through the chicane. We are clean and green here.
Jim Herrick has spun backwards, and he came very close in the West Horseshoe there, but does not hit anybody. I think same sort of thing as previous races. Catches a little grass.
And there it is, Jim Herrick. He's going to catch a little bit of, there's a lip right there, and if you don't hit that right, you're gonna go for a ride, Andrew.
Yeah, Jim Herrick went for a ride, but the ride was not terminally damaged, so Jim Herrick continues on, and everyone makes it very cleanly through the first lap here.
They most certainly do. Do want to give a shout out to all the people watching. It's been an absolute treat to call these races. Thank you so much to George Anzaldo for having us. We are watching race number 3 of the Sim Gaming Expo Challenge Series presented by Simucube. The top 10 are going to transfer out of here, and they're going to do battle on the stage in Schaumburg in just about, 3 weeks' time, Andrew?
Yeah, roughly 3 weeks' time. And, yeah, it looks like we have a little bit of another 3-car breakaway at the front, and everyone's kind of very steadily broken up through the rest of the top 10. Let's see what the movers and shakers are after the first lap. Looks like Chris Stouffer has moved up a spot into the transfer spot at the moment. John Miller III has moved up 2 spots to P11. Unfortunately for Gallego, he fell 2 spots to P12, so he lost a spot to both Stouffer and John Miller there.
There you go. So Chris Stouffer, the guy that I said was built for the transfer spot, Andrew, look at guess where he sits.
That's definitely a Chris Stouffer kind of race. He knows the mission, as we've said in many of the broadcasts before. So hopefully he stays there. But I could tell that this is going to be a very hotly contested 10th place transfer spot here.
Yes, it is.
John Miller continues on right behind Chris Stouffer. He's lost a little bit of ground here, but not too much. So if he stays in the draft, he might be able to pick up a couple of those 10ths and get a little bit closer to that top 10.
Yes, he has. Bradley Sexton, another one of the open wheel competitors that we see on the channel regular basis. There he is. He runs along in 7th. He's in the number 21 machine. Jim Herrick has moved up to 23rd. Nick De La Rosa and Anders Bunda have had some trouble, and so Jim Herrick now runs along, and he has actually caught Junior Robinson for 22nd, and so Herrick trying to work his way back up through the field. What's interesting to me is just how the front of these races has been very similar. We see Floyd Kerr leading it. He's got Mate Varga behind him, and then you've got Phil Krause going to the inside. Big dive from Phil for 3rd.
Yeah, he tucks it in very nicely there through turn 1 and doesn't quite get the spot. But he's definitely kind of competitive enough that he stays there. Actually, it looks like he does get the spot into the horseshoe there. So move Krause up to 3rd, and he's going to go to work for those 2 guys ahead of them. But I'm curious to see if Phil is very aggressive to go for the win, which is something that we see Phil Krause do all the time, or if he decides, hey, I'm good right here. We moved away from the top 10. All I got to do is finish in the top 10.
Is there anything that Phil hasn't won? I'm reading the CV here, the Team Hype with Power Slide driver. 2025 iRacing Indy 500 top split broadcast winner, runner-up in the Butt Kicker Series, Open Wheels 500 winner, Lionheart champion. I think George should have put a Lionheart champion. He's Lionheart Sports Car champion, the Indy Elite Series champion. I think George must have put a character limit on that for Phil. But there he is. He runs along in third. Bradley Sexton has moved into sixth, and there's Bradley. Bradley Sexton, of course, Impact Sim Sports is the team. He won the iRacing Petit Le Mans and the 2025 Daytona 24 Hours second split. How about that, man? That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, that's more of a resume than I ever have. That's why I'm staying up here with you and not racing on this track right now, because, yeah, I'm just an average driver with a decent amount of talent in order to be able to know what I'm talking about here. But yeah, it looks like this battle for the top 10 is actually pretty solid right now. No one's really making any big moves. We see that P7, 8, 9, and 10 are very close, with John Miller still in that P11 lurking there. And I'm very curious to see how these tires last, because I think that there is a little something to said about tire safety, tire life, especially as we get into the later laps of this race.
You know, I'd have to bill you absolutely correct on that. We saw that in the last race, where Micah Mixer's tires definitely fell off after he ran very hard in the beginning. Chris Stouffer has started to open just a little bit of daylight between himself and John Miller. That's about a second. Stouffer, of course, very familiar. He's a two-time fixed Indy 500 champion. He's an overall oval champion in the series, multi-time Lionheart Indy Elite ISRA Area 51 winner, Team 40 Racewear. He and Craig Forsyth, along with Jim Herrick, very familiar in those 40 Racewear cars, and we're cheering him on. We had a chance to have a little get together with Stouffer at the Indianapolis 500. He's a pretty fun guy.
Yes, Stouffer is definitely one of those guys you need to have in your friend group. He's a lot of fun to be around and everything like that. But I'm watching this battle here for P11. Daniel Mills just completely outfoxed John Miller through that infield section there. Unfortunately, what that's done is that it's made a little bit of a breakaway.
It's cost him a ton of time, a second and a half to be exact, on Chris Stouffer, and that's outside of the draft range. And so Daniel Mills is going to have some work to do if he wants to get into that transfer spot. Second and a half away is very difficult to overcome. Stouffer has the benefit of having that draft train to pull him along. Daniel Mills is breaking his own win now, Andrew.
Well, I think Mills, and again, it's very tough when you're in 12th, 13th place and you see the 11th place car kind of just parking the bus and not being very effective at catching the pack, because you're saying, okay, I don't want to make a big battle here because I don't want to upset the flow we have going here. But as you can see, Mills has already started to pull a pretty substantial gap back to Miller. So I think Mills has found that he's a little bit faster, and whereas he thought he might be towing some of these guys ahead, we see that Miller is now holding up another group of cars that are a little bit faster than him. Anthony Jenkins and Gallego are behind him now, and they're starting to drop back even more from the top 10. So these guys are thinking that Miller's got to be out of this pack right now. He needs to either drive a little bit better to bring them back forward again, or he needs to get out of the way, because if you're going for a 10th place spot here, Mills has figured out that he needs to move and he needs to go now. And Miller is kind of flailing around where he is and is hurting that pack from moving forward.
Yes, he is. Well, and Daniel Mills, I mean, he's started to pull away from Miller, and that does hurt. That does hurt Mills, because he's now down 1.8 seconds on Stouffer. Every time they get to one of those full throttle zones without the draft in front of him, the the gap from Stouffer, and we're looking off the back of Chris Stouffer. That's what he wants to see. Is a large and growing gap to Daniel Mills, because that is less and less that he has to fight, less he has to worry about. The more he can conserve as we get close to 1/3 distance here, the more he can conserve for the fight that may be coming.
Let's see how it pans out over the next couple laps, because now that Mills kind of has his own sort of rhythm going, he may see that he is catching or losing time to that pack up ahead. So I think Stouffer is doing everything he can in his 10th place spot right now by staying very, very close to Ridgway up ahead of him, and not losing any time or bringing his car back that gives Mills any sniff of draft.
There we go. Do want to check back in on the lead. There's Mate Varga in second. The leader is Floyd Kerr. Floyd Kerr from Hyperion Racing. He is your leader. Mate Varga is second from, how did you say it again?
Which name?
The name, the team name for Mate Varga. I tried it.
I think it's Zezzy. Zezzy Racing.
Zezzy Racing. Okay. Zezzy Esport. He is second for Mate Varga, and then third. It's the very familiar name in the unfamiliar colors. That's Phil Kraus. He runs in the bottom part of the podium. We went through his resume earlier. We do not have time to repeat it. This broadcast is only 35 minutes long. Avery Hart is fourth. Avery Hart out of the Adrenaline Motorsports camp. There he is, running along in fourth place, and he's kind of in that rocking chair spot, Andrew. He's got 3.5 seconds in front, and he's got about a second and a half back.
Yeah, I think he managed to somehow lose that draft. I don't know if he made a couple mistakes or if those cars up ahead just started to work together to pull away a little bit, but he has fallen back a little bit now, and you're right, rocking chair spot where anything could happen. If he burns his tires up too much, he'll start to tank through that top 10. But I think he has enough pace to hang on as long as he just focuses on his apexes, focuses on his driving in order to stay where he is there in P4.
And here's another guy who's kind of in that rocking chair spot. It's not as much as Avery Hart, but Edgaras Stupas is in fifth, and he's from Lithuania. He's on the grid. His team is given his grid 1, so shout out to them. And about him, the bio just says, "I came to race." Well, race he is doing, because he's got 0.7 of a second in hand over Bradley Sexton from Impact Sim Sport. And there is Bradley. We've talked about him a little bit. Christian Wiggins is seventh. He's got Chris Davis in eighth, and that is a battle for position. What is it about this seventh spot?
That's definitely a good question. It just seems that's where the drivers seem to culminate their pace all around the same spot there.
It is.
So, yeah, I have to laugh a little bit what you said there about I came to race for Edgaras, because if you look down at these driver bios, you look at Nicholas Patterson and his experience is just no. So that's definitely something that we can't really talk too much about, your accolades in the sim racing mindset there. But
yeah, how about some accolades for Stover? He just went around.
Around him.
Old Stover just went around Chris Wiggins. I didn't get a chance to talk about Chris Davis. That's CBC Motorsport. He enjoys racing in the evenings when his kids go to bed. That's how I got started. Andrew, was during the pandemic times. We had an infant, our son Jacob, and I was awake with a baby a lot, and he would only sleep for a couple. So I got built a computer and wheel and pedals and whole bit, and started racing just while he was asleep, because I would be up all night with him. And that's kind of how I started. So shout out to his beautiful wife, Jenny, and his 3 kids. His kids enjoy sitting in the sim and pretending because they can't reach the pedals. That, Chris, is exactly what my kids do as well. Sometimes they sit in my lap and I'll work the pedals and let him steer. How about that, Andrew?
That sounds very much like a situation that gets you into sim racing and gets you addicted, because I'm sure you're doing these races saying, "Oh, I'm good. I can keep going with this." But I also have to mind a child. But
It was not good to be. It was not good to begin with. I'll ask you this. I won my first race, and you can go check it out. It's actually on my social media profile. The video of it is. I won my first street stock oval race. It was at Charlotte, and guess what position my car was in when I crossed the start finish line, Andrew?
I feel like this is a trick question, and I want to say upside down.
It was upside down, just like stroke race across the finish line.
How did I know that was coming?
Well, I did the Joey Chitwood too. I rode it on two wheels up along the wall for part of that lap too. It's a wild video.
That's crazy.
You can go check it out. But Chris Davis runs in 7th. He's got Robert Ridgway in 8th, and there's Robert out of the Ridgway Racing Setups machine. He builds setups for the SFL Open Series. So you can go to Patreon Ridgway Racing and check him out. And then Chris Stouffer is 9th. We've talked about Stouffer at length. He is the man made for the transfer spot. Is out of it, Andrew. And he has put some daylight between himself and Daniel Mills, and Mills is about to come under fire from Christian Wiggins.
Yes, well, Christian Wiggins has fallen out of the top 10 now, and he was sitting in that 7th spot that you were mentioning before, but he got completely left on the outside of the entire infield there, which allowed him to lose a bunch of spots, and unfortunately, he lost so much momentum that on the NASCAR turn 3 and 4, which we're going through right now with this group, Mills had the big draft and the big run, and he got him into turn 1. So Wiggins has fallen out of the transfer spot now, and I'm sure he's going to look to do anything he can to get that spot back.
Yeah, we'll jump on board with Christian Wiggins. How much does that
contact turn 1?
Yeah, we had just jumped on board.
John Miller got completely wiped out there.
We're going to go back and get in the Wayback Machine and see what has befallen John Miller. Down the inside comes Jeffrey Gallego, and a hard impact for John Miller. He's going to have the meatball that he'll have to respect and bring that car to pit lane. And wouldn't be surprised if there's not some damage to that number 6 machine of Jeffrey Gallego. I mean, I'm
checking on that as we speak.
That was a shot. And they're running along. That was for 15th, 16th spot. They're running along behind Nicholas Patterson. Here. And look, I mean, you think, oh, well, these guys are running, 14th, 15th. Jeffrey Gallego, that's a Simboss Central team member. You've got Trevor Huff in that fight. He's an eNASCAR guy. Like, just because you're not in that top 10 doesn't mean you don't deserve some recognition here.
Yes, absolutely. And it looked John Miller was part of that top 10 battle before, so I was keeping a very close watch on him, but I did see he lost a spot to Jenkins in the bus stop with a very, very dodgy kind of last-minute move there. So I wanted to see how he was recovering from that, and I happened to just click on it right as he was getting completely walloped in turn 1 there.
I'll tell you who's not getting walloped. Phil Kraus just went purple. 142.944. He is the first driver in the 42s in this session. I feel like I've seen this movie before, Andrew.
Yeah, I was watching Floyd and Mate kind of push each other, do the bump draft thing down the straightaway, but it wasn't good enough for Phil to not get that draft there going down the straightaway. So yes, purple lap for Phil, and that's good for him, where he has managed to stick with this pack, and I think he has the pace to overtake them, but will he overtake them is the question.
Right. It's kind of the same thing we've said for the last 2 races. Understand the assignment. The assignment is to finish 10th or better. That's what gets you on the stage in Chicago. Right now, that spot is held by Daniel Mills, and what Mills likes to see is this. Christian Wiggins is barely hanging on to those coattails, and there is nothing behind Wiggins. Anthony Jenkins is 2.8 seconds behind Christian Wiggins. So if there's a fight for the transfer spot, it's going to be just right here, and it's only going to be one car.
Well, I think that has to do with that incident that we saw in the last lap that kind of broke up the pack a little bit. But Stouffer looked like he was actually starting to catch Ridgway a little bit, and maybe perhaps give him a little bit of stress. But I think Ridgway was a little better coming out of turn 6. So Stouffer's got to really work on that turn 6 to come back up onto the straightaway again to possibly pick up another spot. But also at the same time, he knows that Wiggins is about 2.5 seconds behind. So not too crazy for holding on to the transfer spot for now.
No, and here's the thing. It's amazing to me how similarly these races have played out. The first one, you had a 3-car breakaway, and then some cars in the rocking chair, and then about a 4-car battle around the transfer spot. The second race featured exactly the same thing, but Andrew, the battle around the transfer spot was absolutely insane. The third race is kind of halfway between the two, I would say.
Yes, I wouldn't have put that much better myself there, Mark. I think this is definitely one of those situations where it's exciting enough to keep us intrigued and keep the audience intrigued, but at the same time, it's not a barn burner where we're seeing a lot of haymakers, as you were mentioning in an earlier race. So I think everyone's going to kind of just stay lockstep, especially between the top 6 spots. The transfer spot's going to be the spot we got to watch.
It is, looking off the right front of Chris Stouffer as he goes through the bus stop. Watch just how close they cut this. So there's Stouffer going through there from the right side. We're going to show it from the left side. He's got Daniel Mills in close attendance. This is the battle for the transfer spot, and it is hotly contested. These cars have now pulled away 1.2 seconds over Christian Wiggins. So Wiggins is definitely losing time to Mills, Stouffer, Ridgway, and Davis.
Yeah, that's a shame. I think he just got completely left on the outside, and he was never able to really recover. And I'm not sure he has a faster pace than these guys, maybe just enough to stay with them. And this reminds me of the first heat with William Day, where he's just enough to stay with them, but he needs to find that little extra edge in order to make up those extra few tenths there. I accelerated back up to the front here with Kraus, and I don't see anything inside Kraus that's showing me that he's going to try and make any moves here. He's just fast enough, and he's kind of laying back a little bit in all these braking zones. And if I've watched Phil Kraus drive for a long time now, and he's tried to make me faster as much as he can. I know he has more in the braking zone than what he's showing here, so he knows the mission. If there's an opportunity that comes, he's going to go for it. But this top 3 right here looks pretty steady with where they are right now.
Now, just the same as we rode on the right front of Stouffer, we're going to take the left front on Kraus. And look at how close they measure this to the grass, Andrew. Just right to the edge of that curb. And you don't want to go much past that, because if you go over that line, especially on exit, you get a 1X out there, you get a slowdown, and there is a limit to the amount of incident points that you can acquire here. And so we haven't really touched on that, but there is an incident point limit. These races are live stewarded, and so you don't necessarily want to be flirting with getting incident points out there for no reason, right?
That's correct, especially if you're sitting in a nice line like these drivers are up front here. So, Mate Varga is just pushing Floyd Kerr up front here. There's any sort of attitude that shows he wants to make any move. Much different than that Alex Zart battle we saw in Heat 2 there, where every single lap he was like, oh, I have a draft, I'm going to go on the outside, and then do nothing but hurt the entire group.
This group here, from 7th back to 11th, Christian Wiggins has now caught back up to this group. But this crew, if there's going to be a battle in this race, it's going to come from right here. This is Davis, Ridgway, Stouffer, Mills, and Wiggins. P7 through 11. This is for the transfer spot, and this is the one that gets you on the stage. I don't think we need to worry about Kerr, Varga, Kraus, Hart, and Stupas or Sexton. I think those top 6, if they can keep it moving in the right direction here, Andrew, with 2/3 distance gone, I think they're in pretty good shape. It's going to be who's going to come out of this group of 5 cars for the final 4 spots.
Well, let's look at the lap time from Christian Wiggins last lap. He was faster than all 4 cars ahead of him. So Christian Wiggins does have the pace, and that brings me back to the tire saving that we were talking about in the last couple of races here. I think Wiggins might have been holding back a little bit because he thinks that these drivers might be maybe going a little too hard. I thought he might not have had the pace, but it seems like he does have the pace, especially if he was faster than all 4 drivers. So he might be deploying a similar strategy than what we saw in the first race, where he's just kind of holding back with his tires. He has the pace to do it. Unfortunately, William Day in that first race waited way too long. And if Wiggins waits until maybe lap 17 or 18 to really pounce here, he could pick up a couple of those spots back as these guys struggle on their tires.
Well,
Stouffer loses a spot here to Mills. So now Stouffer is the vulnerable one in P10.
You know, he is, and Stouffer is going to work pretty hard to get back by Mills. I was going to say that was a pretty incredible thing to watch Daniel Mills push Chris Stouffer all the way through turns 3 and 4 and then pop out and make that move. I thought he was just going to continue to push him so that they could catch up to Ridgway and Davis in front of him, but he actually popped out and made the pass, and that's what allowed Christian Wiggins to get back in the position to make another move.
We have not talked much about Chris Davis yet, the leader of this pack, and we have to wonder, is Chris Davis a cork in the bottle of sorts? Is he just kind of holding this group up, and will they all manage to find a way by him, pop him to the outside of the infield, which is similar to what they did to Christian Wiggins back on lap 7 or 8 or whatever that was earlier on in the race, when he lost all those spots simply because he got pushed wide in all these corners. So I'm wondering if Chris Davis just is at a good pace or if he's holding these guys up a little bit. We'll have to see as these tires wear a little bit more in the next few laps.
Yeah, we'll have to give it a shot. I mean, I don't think so. Davis 143.9. The cars behind him 6, 7, 8, and 7, and that's just because I think that's because he's breaking the draft. I don't think that's for any reason other than, you know, Chris Davis is the one leading. I think you'd probably see that same drop in pace no matter who you put up in front. What's interesting to me is Daniel Mills went by Chris Stouffer. Stouffer had been pretty much attached to the back of Robert Ridgway. Mills has dropped back a little bit, and that's back Stouffer right on up to Christian Wiggins.
And I can imagine what's going through Stouffer's mind right now, saying, okay, I was very comfortable in this top 10 spot, and now suddenly I'm under fire from P11. So that leads a whole nother level of anxiety to these drivers too, saying I have to make sure I stay where I am and not lose another spot. So I think Stouffer might be panicking a little bit, saying I want to pick up that spot or two and maybe put one of these other guys that are at the front of this pack a little more vulnerable than my spot right now. So Chris Davis seems to be the car that is holding this group up, if you want to put it that way. He is doing a good pace right now, so it would have to be a battle between him and Ridgway to put themselves in that spot. But we have 5 laps to go here when we cross the line, and I think it could get interesting if we watch this further.
It most certainly will. Do want to check back in at the front. It is status quo. Floyd Kerr, Mate Varga, and Philip Kraus are the top 3. Varga has been content to push Kerr up front. Phil has been content to stay about 0.3 of a second behind him. Not for any other reason. I think that all 3 of those guys understand the stakes here in the Sim Gaming Expo Challenge Series presented by Simucube. They understand the stakes, and they want to. They know that it doesn't really matter where you finish here. It doesn't even really matter if you win. All that matters is a top 10 finish, and if you go down into turn 1 and clean each other out, ain't none of us going to get there.
That's absolutely right. I think they know what the mission is. They have to finish top 10 to advance. And this group back here for that transfer spot continues to get spicy. I think Daniel Mills actually is faster than the 2 cars ahead of him, but he just can't find the right opportunity to get by. Remember, Mills was sitting P12 back on lap 2 and 3, so he has managed to claw his way into the top 10, and he wants more. And I think that things might get a little crazier towards the end of the race here.
You know, I'd have to, Bill, you're right. The desperation is going to start to ratchet up. I don't think from Stouffer, who's running along in 10th, but for Christian Wiggins, his attempts to get past this man, those two orange cars there, the 13 is going to become more and more desperate to get past. And Chris Stouffer...
Well, he's falling into the clutches now of that P11 car. Christian Wiggins sets Stouffer up in the bus stop.
Yeah, here we go, side by side into the Le Mans chicane we go. Stouffer is going to have to give up the position, move Christian Wiggins back into the transfer spot. Chris Stouffer.
That was quite a move.
That was textbook, and not only that, Stouffer lost a ton of momentum going through the Le Mans chicane. Not only that, so he's going to lose a bunch of time. Not only that, he pulls high through 3 and 4, and that's going to cost him nearly a second on that exchange. So a lot of work to do for Chris Stouffer just to get back into position to challenge Christian Wiggins one more time as we get 4 laps to go.
It looks like the 7th, 8th, 9th group has broken away a little bit, as you said. Christian Wiggins is in that transfer spot right now, and Stouffer has a little catching up to do, and I wonder if Stouffer has maybe burned his tires up a little bit here trying to keep up with the pack ahead of him.
It's possible. We're going to continue to monitor those lap times. Chris Davis was not the cork in the bottle, but right now I think, again, it's understanding the assignment. We know that Kerr, Varga, and Kraus get it. So does Hart. So does Staupas. Sexton, Davis, Bradley Sexton, I'm sure does. Chris Davis, Robert Ridgway, Daniel Mills. I'm sure they can look at the relative and see it's a second and a half back to Christian Wiggins and another second on top of that back to Stouffer. If I'm these guys, and we've got Jeffrey Gallego with a black flag on the race course, Jeffrey Gallego has a black flag, so he is going to have to surrender 14th spot.
Yeah, it looks like that pack right there that Gallego is in is actually a pretty feisty one. They're all battling. They all went into turn 6 2x2, and we got quite a nice battle going here for P14 with Gallego up front. He has a black flag. I'm going to assume that's for a track limit situation, plus the 4Xs that he might have gotten from the incident points earlier. So he might have gone a little wide in the bus stop a few too many times, and now he has to answer a black flag.
That's quite right. I'm looking here to just kind of see in the events what the black flag would be for. But here he is. He's going to come and
he's coming in.
Yeah, he's going to come and answer that. And so move Gallego out of that 14th spot. That's going to promote. Well, it did promote Josh Adam, but now Josh Adam is blinking, and that means this is going to get interesting. Josh Adam is blinking in the middle of this group. So Trevor Huff is going to have a bit of fun. Huff is going to get to let's see. That's the 120. It's the 54 of Huff on the right. The 121 of Nicholas Patterson on the left. Patterson will have the spot. We are focused on Trevor Huff because Josh Adam is blinking in P14. We do want to move back to this battle because it is the one for the transfer spot. It's worth noting Chris Stouffer, 1.3 seconds back of Christian Wiggins, has started to reel him back in. 44.1 for Wiggins, 43.9 for Stouffer, and Wiggins has completely lost the draft of Mills in front of him. And so there you see it, the 3 cars disappearing off in the distance. This is the longest shot I got. But and thank you to Whiplash SimCams for it. But he's out of range, and Stouffer may have a chance to come on and come back up here and challenge as we head for 2 laps to go.
Again, we would need a big situation to occur in order to put Stouffer in that situation where he is able to advance. I think that Wiggins has gotten his pace back up again, and it's gotten to the point where Stouffer is hoping and praying that one of the cars up ahead of him has some sort of misfortune that brings him back into it. I think Wiggins just has to do the damage for the next 2 laps in order to get that spot confirmed for him.
Most certainly so. We'll continue to keep an eye on that. We're going to get right back up front here because the front trio is getting ready to come grab the white flag, and we're going to see if we're going to have another one of those patented Daytona side-by-side inches finishes here. Would you rather, Andrew, be the car up front, or would you rather be the car in second? If you're Kerr Varga here.
I would much rather be the car leading right now, especially when there hasn't been much play with getting that situation going for the lead where you're under threat. So I think that the lead car is the car that's at the advantage right now. And I think Phil has a nice run here, actually coming through NASCAR Turn 4, and he may mix things up here a little bit if he gets the opportunity. Nope, he sits in line. Looks like the leader is just kind of staying where he is, and Phil's just going to kind of hang there.
You could visibly see the car. Change attitude as Phil Kraus lifted out of the throttle to avoid taking that run. You want to win the race, Andrew, but you also do not want to do anything that A, is going to jeopardize the other two cars around you, or even more so, B, jeopardize your own machine. So any move here out of this top three is going to have to be super low risk.
Definitely a super low risk situation there, and I'm watching this this battle for P7 here with Chris Davis. He still is managing to hold off Ridgway and Daniel Mills, and shout out to Daniel Mills for starting outside the top 10 and driving his way forward. He knew that he had to get by Miller. He put himself in a situation where he was sort of offset from the cars up ahead of him. He had no draft or anything, and he managed to drive his way up well into the top 10, into P9 here.
All right, warm up the photo finish cameras. Here we come toward the start finish line. Mate Varga, toward the International Horseshoe. Stand by, because we've seen some pretty awesome stuff coming to the finish line here at Daytona with these with these identical Porsches. McConey setup shops on the setups. Mate Varga lays back off the Le Mans chicane, and he's got Phil Kraus right behind him. Here we come through NASCAR 3 and 4, down for the final time toward the start-finish line, Andrew.
Yeah, I think we have a situation where he's going to set up on the high side, and I think Mate Varga might have that advantage going to the start-finish line. Phil Kraus is going to come behind and push him, and I think Mate Varga won this race.
Mate Varga is going to be your winner. We saw it from the flag stand. Floyd Kerr second, Phil Kraus third. Give a shout out to Avery Hart, who's going to run fourth. Edgar Stupas is fifth. Bradley Sexton sixth. Here comes Chris Davis, Robert Ridgway, Daniel Mills.
Not enough for Christopher. He's going to finish P11 right behind Christian Wiggins. So unfortunate for Stouffer, he does not advance in this competition. He's going to come up
0.347 short of Christian Wiggins. He pulled in, Christopher reeled in a full second over Christian Wiggins on that last lap, and it wasn't quite enough. Waiting on Eric Nixon, Jeffrey Gallego, Nick De La Rosa, Junior Robinson, and Anders Bunda to come through the start-finish line. John Miller did retire. Other community notables, Jim Herrick, he took that wild ride through the grass, Andrew. He drove that car back up to 19th, so a pretty good run for Jim, all things considered, as well.
Yes, that's definitely a great run for Jim there. I think he took advantage of some earlier incidents in this race. He was the first one to have the incident, so it's always easy to drive by a bunch of guys that have incidents ahead of you later on in the race. But fair shout out there to Jim Herrick, who managed to get that spot there.
All right, and for the final results here, Mate Varga is going to be your winner from Floyd Kerr. That's the margin we had between 7th and 8th last time. So in the last race, 0.011 seconds over Floyd Kerr. That's about, what, 6 inches maybe, Andrew?
Yeah, roughly that. Maybe like a front nose to the front tire.
Maybe. Phil Kraus, in a very Phil-like run, he understood the assignment. Phil Kraus is going to come home in third. Avery Hart fourth. Edgar Stupas will bring it home fifth. Bradley Sexton sixth. Chris Davis is seventh. Robert Ridgway eighth. Daniel Mills ninth. And Christian Wiggins is 10th. Those 10 will advance to the stage in Schaumburg. In 11th, Christopher. In 12th, Michael Piecco. 13th, Josh Adam. 14th, Nicholas Patterson. Trevor Huff is 15th. And what heartbreak for Stouffer. He came up .347 short, Andrew. .347. That's not a lot. Corey Nesbitt is 16th. David Dorr, 17th. Jim Herrick, a fine drive, back up to 18th. Eric Nixon, 19th. Jeffrey Gallego is going to be 20th. 21st is Nick De La Rosa. Anthony Jenkins, 22nd. Junior Robinson, 23rd. Anders Bunda, 24th. And John Miller rounds out the field here in race number 3. And there's your transfer spots. Waiting to see if we have anybody in the interview space. There's Floyd Kerr, so we're going to go ahead and, well, maybe if I can. Floyd Kerr, you've got Mark Murphy, Andrew Wood in the P1 broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
I do. How's it going?
Well, we were debating on whether or not you wanted to be first or second coming to the line. What did you see, and what do you think you might have been able to do to hold off Mate there?
So it's a bit tricky because the top 3 guys all kind of know the situation out of the bus stop with the draft, and if you're not quick enough to make a plus 4/10 gap out of that bus stop, you're easy pickings. So out of that last lap, it was kind of just messing around a bit, seeing if anyone would pick the bait and fight a little bit, but they knew what they were doing as well, and I got a little sideways in the bus stop and just did not carry enough speed out of the exit. But man, that was a blast.
Yeah, it looks like there was definitely some strategy play there. Did you know what the mission was and you weren't really so focused on the win, or did you think that you had to really go for something there to stamp your authority as you head into the Schaumburg competition here?
Well, I was definitely focused on the win, and that's why earlier in the race I took the position as early as I did. I didn't need to, and the other guy probably knew that too. That's why I stuck behind and pushed, because it doesn't matter really that early in the race, but I was trying to eliminate the threat of a third car behind me and being sandwiched, just because that can lead to unpredictable situations sometimes. But yeah, it was just kind of misjudgment at the end there, and lost out by I think a 10th, but yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Floyd, and thank you so much for participating in this event. It was a lot of fun watching that battle between you and Phil. The battles for the transfer spots have been kind of wild too. I want to say that I look forward to meeting you all in Chicago, and as is the tradition here at P1, if you get the podium, you get the mic. Friends, family, sponsor, shout outs. The floor is yours.
Well, I'd like to thank my family for supporting and watching this qualifying rounds as they go through. I'm super pumped for the expo coming up. It's going to be an incredible experience. And, of course, my team, Hyperion Racing, for throwing a few cars in the field. That was a lot of fun.
Most certainly was. Go on, get out of here, go celebrate, and we will see you in about 3 weeks.
Sounds good.
That is Floyd Kerr. He is going to be second today. We're waiting on. Let's go ahead and pull up. We got Bradley Sexton in here, and we're going to go ahead and pull him up. Not on the podium, but Bradley Sexton is a name that is familiar to almost every viewer of the P1 Broadcasting Network. Bradley, you've got Mark Murphy, you've got Andrew Wood up here in the booth. What
awesome! Hey, how are you guys?
We're doing pretty good. We're calling cars with roofs and fenders, so it's not something that Wood and I are used to. But tell us, not something you're used to either. Tell us about your day, man.
Man, it's been crazy. I'm so thankful for the Impact Sim Sport team and helping me get up to speed with the GT3 cars. As I know you guys know, with all the broadcasting you guys do, I do a lot of either open wheelers or just cars with a lot of downforce. So this was quite the challenge, but one that I was happy to step up for. And yeah, man, I mean, just managing the cold tires on the outlap was my focus. I mean, all morning I just kept doing 5 laps, resetting to the pits, 5 laps, resetting to the pits. I knew my racecraft was good if I just could get through those first 5.
Well, that actually answers a little bit of the question I had for you, Brad. Did you feel like there was qualifying meant more than the actual racecraft itself? Like if you had qualified perhaps 12th, 13th or so, was it harder to get up front? And you just wanted to make sure that you had the actual good qualifying to be in the top 10? Or did you feel like the racecraft was good enough that if you had a poor qualifying session that you could make your way forward?
You know, that's a really difficult question because with the draft, I knew if I could stay in the draft, I would be able to at least, stay relatively where I was at. Making passes was quite tough with how strong the draft was. So really, I think qualifying was important. But as my teammate Daniel Mills proved, falling back from 10th or 11th and then going to 16th, moving his way up to 9th spot to make the transfer. Passing was definitely doable. But yeah, it was a tough group of guys out there today. Everybody had a lot of pace, and wow, did those top 3 have it too.
Yes, they did. Well, thank you so much for stopping by, Brad. Good luck in Schaumburg in about 3 weeks' time. It'll be fun to see your race. Be fun to meet you. Good luck. Keep going fast and having fun, buddy.
Thank you so much. Hope to see you both there. See you guys.
Yes, sir.
Thanks a lot.
That is Bradley Sexton, and for tonight's third place runner, the man who understood the assignment. Phil, you've got Murph and you've got Andrew Wood in the P1 broadcasting booth. Talk to us about your run to third, and was there ever a desire to mix it up for the win, or was it very much survive and advance?
There was not a single impulse to go for the lead the entire race. I don't think I actually really had the speed to do that either. But yeah, no, just chilling third. See if they do anything goofy. They did do something goofy, and just make sure to transfer in the top 10.
Did you? And I'm going to have to interrupt Andrew because if I remember right, you and I believe Wood might have been in that race, but there was a big open race at Pocono a couple of years ago. That was a fuel mileage race, and you could visibly see people like letting off and the nose of the car come up. When that happened, we saw that happen with you a couple of times, and I thought, man, old Phil's just he knows what the game is. He's not doing anything that's gonna do anything that's gonna jeopardize being on that stage. So good run. I'll let you talk to your buddy Andrew.
Yeah, Phil, I was curious. We were chatting a little bit about the qualifying session there, and when I've driven these cars before, it seems like the second and even the third lap is the better one in the qualifying session to get the most out of the tires. But I believe we were talking about how you got to do 4 full laps there before you actually get the best advantage you can with the tires. So did you feel like you didn't actually complete the 4th lap because you ran out of time right before the line there, but did you have anything for those leaders there that might have gotten you a little bit farther ahead, and could you have kept the lead based on the pace of those guys?
Oh, I didn't even get the 3rd lap, Andrew. I only got lap 1 and 2 in qualifying, but yeah, no, it definitely behaves a lot more like the GTP tire in terms of the warm-up phase. Like even in the race, you kind of saw like we started off a little slow in like the mid to high 43s, and then about lap 3, 4, 5, you're just stuck in the low 43s, high 42s, and there was no fall off whatsoever. Like, it is a true brick of a tire.
Yeah, so I need to learn to count things. I thought you had done 3 laps and you were on your 4th. So fair play there. Looks like you probably had a little more in qualifying if you really went for it, but it was good enough to advance. So nice shot today.
Yeah, I before the session ended, I was like 3/10 up on my lap, which would have put me about 3rd. And then I think there probably was an improvement on lap 4, but I don't know. But yeah, there's definitely more in it.
Well, I'll tell you what, podium in this crowd, no slouch, Phil. You've been here before and you know the drill. Friends, family, sponsors, shout outs. The floor is yours, my man.
Obviously, first off, shout out to James O'Brien, a teammate at Team Hype, who also made it in the first qualifying race. So cool to have 2 of us who are going to be on stage in Schaumburg for sure. But yeah, just looking forward to the expo, and being on stage itself. It's the first time I've done that before, so it'll be an experience for sure.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for stopping by, Phil, and good luck in a month. You hear?
Yep. Cheers.
Sir.
Thanks, Phil.
That is Phil Kraus. We'll get him out of here. And Andrew, I don't see anybody else waiting on an interview, so kind of give us your thoughts on the proceedings this afternoon and what we can expect. You think at least from the big show in a month in Schaumburg.
Yeah, I mean, I had no idea what I was expecting when I came into this, and I was talking to you a little bit beforehand saying, hey, I'm not really too used to commentating these kind of cars, so I won't know too much of strategy or what people are thinking, but as you can watch the races, you knew exactly what the situation was for these guys. It's just finish in the top 10 and make sure you advance. So very easy sort of races to commentate here, and it's actually been pretty exciting to watch, and I don't know if I'm going to make it to Schaumburg particularly myself, but it sounds like it'll be a lot of fun, and these guys are really going to be going for it. So let's talk about what's at stake here. What are these guys going for?
Yeah, so this is the Sim Gaming Expo really is the first event of its kind, and so it's not just iRacing. Right, it's all about immersing yourself in virtual worlds and celebrating the passion that we all have for simulation, gaming, lifestyle, and technology. There's going to be demos, special deals on the latest hardware and software. There's going to be live competitions. Influencers are going to be there. I am not one of those, Andrew. There are workshops, discussion panels, but it's really about community competition, and then the different kind of cool stuff that we're going to have. That we're going to have available. This series in and of itself is presented by Simucube, and there are some really awesome prizes on the line. More so though, in knowing guys like Phil, I don't necessarily think it's the physical prize necessarily. It's the trophy and wanting to be on that stage, and we kind of showed some pictures of it in the beginning of the first broadcast, and I'm gonna get the arena shots back up here, and I wanna everybody to kind of bear with me a second because I'm gonna have to do this manually. But there's a gaming arena that goes along with this, and so
Incredible.
yeah, I'm not one And don't get me wrong, Simucube and Huskenveld and all the sponsors of this series are putting up some really cool stuff. For me, and I get a chance to drive in that arena in the open wheel side of this, I'm looking forward to being on that stage, Andrew. To me, that's the huge prize. I want to be up there, right?
I think those guys have done it right, and they've set up quite an apparatus for people to really showcase what they have going on here. So I think that's actually very exciting and very interesting for this event in particular. So yeah, it's pretty great what's been put together here, and these guys are really going to be doing whatever it takes to showcase what they got.
Yes, they are. So that is September 5th through 7th in the Schaumburg Renaissance Convention Center. I will be there. Andrew Wood might be. We might have to send the U.S. Marshals to haul him down there. We'll get you there. But September 5th through 7th in the Schaumburg Renaissance Convention Center. You can go to their website. That is simgamingexpo.com. Get your tickets. Make your hotel reservation. Take a look at the sponsors. I was scrolling through that. I was going to mention them all, and then I realized that the list was way too long. There are a ton of special guests like Matt Ballone. Into the Apex podcast is going to be there. All sorts of cool people from all across all parts of the sim community, and so we do look forward to seeing you. As for today, we have set the top 30 for the competition that's going to take place on that stage in just about 3 weeks' time. Andrew, it's also about time we hit it. It's been fun calling this with you, buddy. and I look forward to seeing you soon. For everybody else, look for the finale live from Schaumburg, September 5th through 7th.